Welcome to Shireen Conversations. I'm your host, Marjana Paravan. On today's episode, I am joined by Nini Ordoubadi, an educator by nature, an artist at heart, and a third-generation tea enthusiast who founded Tay Tea in 2003. Nini has created over 22 beautiful blends of exotic loose-leaf teas, and her intention is to teach people the art of slowing down. By sharing with them that tea is more than just dunking a bag into hot water, it is a ritual. She shares with them the history, the stories, and of course the hospitalities of our culture over a cup of tea prescribed specifically for what they need in that exact moment. Hi, Nini John. Thank you so much for joining me today on Shireen Conversations. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And I'm really happy to see that you're doing this wonderful. I feel like our community needs more of this kind of highlighting, and not only of people you choose, but your generation just being so interested in our wonderful, very deep and wide culture, which I feel like I'm one of the ambassadors. You're certainly one. And there are many of us. So thank you for the opportunity to share in that pool.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited for my guests to listen and hear all about you as an individual and your colorful background. I mean, you hold a master's degree in fine arts and had a very successful career in interior design and styling, and have since dedicated your craft in creating something so beautiful within blends of exotic loose leaf teas and the art of slowing down. And I think that is such a beautiful way of describing it, because lots of people will go to their nearby coffee shop, tea shops, order a tea or dunk tea bags into hot water, and they don't understand what slowing down means or the art of tea. You founded Tay Tea in New York City in 2003, and you're tapped as being the third generation of a tea enthusiast. Can you share with us a little bit of what that means?
Yeah, it's so funny because my mom used to say, you know, her grandfather, so my great grandfather, and her great aunt, her aunt, my great aunt, were both tea blenders. But, she said only an Iranian coming to the United States makes tea into a business. Like they did it for the love of doing it. And so I always found that funny. But one of the reasons I really delve into the world of tea, other than the fact that I was tired of doing interior design after 16, 17 years, I really wanted to share something very precious from our culture, the beautiful Persian culture, in my adopted land. So I just thought, it almost came to me in a dream, because, and I always say, people ask me, this is the most asked question, like, how did you pull this out of your left leg? I'm a decorator, stylist, and I was good at what I did, if I can say so myself. And I made money and I made a lot of people happy. But somehow, after a while, it just stopped me from being 100% satisfied. And I needed to do something else. They say the normal person changes careers 11 times. I don't know. I'm not to number 11, but everything I've done in my life actually is a string of pearls, the way I see it. So then you can wear it and it's all sings together. So I don't think that interior design, photography, food, making food, being an herbalist, being a tea blender is very different. These are all, and also I studied painting. So I went to art school and I studied painting. So it's all related. For me, it's a creative person that kind of wants to swim in the same ocean of creativity, and also to create it for other people. So sharing it. And I thought, what can I do? I didn't want to just have a shop and buy and sell things. That to me was not enough. And so the tea kind of came into my life because I wanted something of our culture. And it was already in my family. So, it was like the points really connected naturally. I didn't like do a workshop or seminar about how to connect the dots. It
Yeah.
just happened. And everything in my life is like that. I'm very boho in spirit. Not that I don't believe in school. I've been to the best schools and I got this and that degree, but in creativity, I really believe there's a moment of grace and a moment of happy accidents, as we call it. So many
Yes.
of those, and synergy, if you will, synchronicity, all those wonderful words that actually mean something very, very deep in people that pursue it. So in my life, my heart is very intuitive and I'm connected to it. I think this kind of transformation, the past, I would say 18 years of my life has really been natural. And I feel like it's the one that most defines me rather than interior design or, you know, it, that was great, but now this is fantastic because it involves other people and the community,
Yeah.
which I love.
And I love the way that you said that like happy accidents in some
Yeah.
way, because I feel that that's so true, because there's always a pivotal accident or moment in our lives that something happens that we come full circle to realize that maybe this is the path that we should take, or this is
Right.
why I was put on this earth to create or speak
Right.
or do things
Right.
to help others or move people. So the fact that you've been doing this for 18 years and it actually does bring that spark within you, and that you're
Right.
also educating others in
Yeah.
everything that you do. And
Right.
the fact that you have created over 22 blends of tea. When we go and we buy generic packets of tea, we don't necessarily see what goes behind it.
Right.
And the fact that you go and you create these blends, and as someone
Right.
who's so artistic, who's an empath, I feel though, as you are someone who understands what someone needs in the moment of what kind
Right.
of tea they want, there's
Mm-hmm.
medicine within that. What
Yeah.
goes behind creating these blends? I know that you have some artistic names behind each blend that you create. What
Yeah,
is
I
your
mean, people always
inspiration?
laugh. They're like, what is this? Better than sex or Persian
Yeah,
rose or,
I love it.
marry me again. I like, as a painter, I can tell you that as an artist, I feel like I was very into the world of abstract art. I never liked figurative. Not that it's bad, but for me, I really related to abstract, colorful art. And my blends are kind of continuation of that. So I can name it Marry Me Again or Duchess's First Love, but you will read your own story in it. And I always tell people, they're like, why is this called this? And I'm like, I don't know. It just came to me. And also, yes, some of that is happy accident. Another thing, as an herbalist, I also listen to what people want. So let's say coffee lovers tea, which is a natural diuretic, I made because countless amount of number of people came here and they were trying to lose weight. They're like, how can I, do it naturally? And so I came up with that. It's a natural diuretic. So I respond also, and having a brick and mortar store, which I've kind of really insisted on from the get-go. You can always have an online presence, which we do. You have to have that. But that's not where my heart is. My heart is literally met every day with somebody that walks in. So it's another friend I make, and they meet me, I meet them, exchange of stories of, especially post-COVID. I think I really didn't know to what extent this little shop in the middle of the mountains, Catskill Mountains, was so important for the community, because, everyone's masked, everyone's isolating, they're getting more and more depressed, more and more lonely. And then they come in here. Yes, we have the HEPA filter. Yes, we're all masked, but a human being is looking at you and is also serving you tea. They have to go and
Yes.
have it outside or right outside my foyer. But I think that act of loveliness is something that was acutely missing. And and our business not only did better, like by 30-40%, it was really crazy. That didn't even blow my hair back so much, but we became a focal point in our little town of community building. Truly. I mean, a lot of people use the words and it's like blah, blah, blah. I don't really care for that at all. But seriously, the most important thing is that people came in and met other people.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just that, oh, I'm holding court and I'm telling them all about Iran and how great we are, which I do that too. But the most important thing was they would come in and see two other people they hadn't ever seen. So that having a space that holds people and their happiness, their loneliness, their sadness, to me has always been a priority. And I feel like that's the magic that is missing in a lot of spaces, commercial spaces, where they don't create that. I mean, these flowers are for myself, my staff, and my guests. It smells like heaven here. I wish you could smell it. There's all kinds of flowers that all year long. I mean, especially in winter when we're deprived. Up here, if you look out a little carefully, we have like a couple inches of snow on the ground. But people come here and they're like, smells so good. So I like to have all five of the senses be kind of lovely for whoever comes in, and be a complete sensory, not overload, but
An experience.
delight. And they love that. And it's not just like, oh, I'm going to taste some tea and get out of here. They're going to like look around. There's tons of things from the four corners of the world. And just that experience more than anything else. And I've done that from the get-go. I mean, this is the 17th year that I've had a shop.
That's amazing.
Literally in the middle of nowhere.
And that's
You'll come
amazing.
visit one day.
I have to. I lived in New
You
York for
have
almost
to.
10 years and I've gone to the Catskills, and I tell myself all the time I need to. And the fact that, like you said, 17 years is knock on wood, a milestone,
Yeah,
and
it's
creating
amazing. I
something
still
like that.
sometimes can't believe people will come and they haven't seen me in 10 years. They're like, oh my God.
You're still
All these,
I
because
love
a
that.
lot of businesses leave.
Yeah.
But because we live here, my husband and I live here, we're part of the community. We love it. I mean, I feel like as an ex-New Yorker who really lived in Chelsea, in the heart of it for so many years, basically all my adult life, to be here is like a second heaven.
Mhm.
That was heaven when I lived there. I loved it. But now, like, I'll go there and I'm like, oh my God, get me out of here.
Yeah.
I still love it. I think culturally, once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker. But my connection now is very deep with nature and with the change of seasons. And as an herbalist, I feel like I really need that space. I can't be in a urban. So I've become like one of these wild goats. My friends in the city make fun of me. They're like, oh, you're like,
you just need to be
a
one with
mountain goat.
nature. You need to be one with nature, this peace. And, you said it within everything that you said, because I actually read that you were quoted to say that you're more of an educator, more so than a quote unquote tea shop owner. And you're absolutely right.
I hope so.
I
hope so, because the education really comes in several guises. First of all, when people come in, they understand that tea is not just dried leaves, it's medicinal. 5,000 years old. No, it's not from England, it's from China. It gets very political very fast. And that's part of who I am, because I am very vocal. And actually, I went to Columbia University / Barnard, and guess what I majored in? Political science. So
that's incredible.
Political science and economics. So that's my background. And then after 4 years of that, it kind of flipped out. The last year, I decided, no, my dad really wanted me to be a lawyer. And I was like, Dad, there's too many lawyers in the world. It's good, but not for me. I'm going to go and study painting. So then I went and got my MFA in upstate New York, actually, SUNY Purchase, in painting. And that almost like killed both my parents. But we got through it. And it was the best thing I did, because then I really started going into the path that I was meant to be. So I always tell the kids, people much younger than myself, when they seek my advice, really listen to yourself. Because as much as you love your parents, your brother, your sister, your best friend, nobody really knows you but yourself. Mm-hmm. Or nobody really should know you. But you know what I mean? Like, really pray, really meditate, and really get to the bottom of what you want. We only have one life to live. And believe me, it's not that long. And so then I figured, I'm an artist. I can't go this other route. So it's a big disappointment. They'll get over it. Guess what? They did.
They did.
They
Exactly.
all do. So,
Exactly.
and then later, of course, my parents were always my biggest fans, especially my mom, because she was also a creative person. And once you step in the right direction, I think people will be like, wow, you were always meant to do this. So I always tell people, be lion-hearted. Shirazan, there is this thing in Iranian culture. You speak Persian a little bit?
I do.
Good.
Fluently.
Shirazan. The concept of Shirazan is I have to have like a tea that I blend for all us Shirazan. Shirazan is a woman with a fierce heart, like yourself, like myself, like many people that you swim with. We're in the same ocean and it's vast. So Shirazan is somebody that listens to her heart, the beating of her own heart. And we all do it in our own ways.
We do.
But you have to find that voice.
And the fact that you even said that's the definition of who my grandmother was. So if you do ever make that blend, please let me know, because I will buy all of them. That is exactly who she was.
And all my American friends, is so funny because we have a sisterhood here that's very deep, and something I very much am proud of, that I've, since I think I was born, I thought that my superpower was other women, other girls first, other women. So like I host diva dinners.
I love it.
All kinds of gatherings that involves only women. Sometimes I get a lot of crap from guys saying, why not make it Devo? I'm like, no. Totally different. And I also host a lot of I call it movable feasts. So these feasts that move around from house to house, and I have a chef, a young chef, usually a guy, girl, doesn't matter, that I'm trying to highlight in the community. And we will have these, but a lot of them are gatherings of women. Why? Because I feel like women, naturally we congregate, but it's in different guises. When you have a guy in the room, the whole thing changes. And I really like to isolate us together so we can hug each other a little tighter, support each other a little more, and stop competing, because nothing gets done. And I understood this at a very young age. When I came to this country, I went to college and I saw all these girls like competing for a guy. And I thought, that's so useless. Like I wasn't raised that way. I was raised not to fight the guys, but kind of, be like, wait a minute, you really have to prove yourself. Then you can sit over there and talk to me. But that's not this culture. This is a very different culture where I'm not saying it's good or bad, but having been raised in Iran till I was 18, very different. And I come here, so I had this whole thing of separation, which I don't think is a bad thing, because in those 18 years, you really get to know yourself, respect yourself, and love other women, instead of try to take their eyes out for a really worthless guy. So I didn't learn that lesson. I learned the other lesson, to stick together, united front, and be there for each other as sisters, sister mothers, I call it. So I love that. And that's part of my kind of brand, so Shirazan is going to happen.
It has to happen.
The first hint.
I'd be honored to. It has to happen. And that speaks, that's through your blood. That's through Shireen Conversations blood. That's through every single guest I've had and will have, and all the audience. They're all Shirazan. And I applaud you, everything with that.
That's why, so once in a while I get asked to do this and that, and I'm like, not that I don't want to, it's just time consuming. But I read your profile and what you're doing, and then I listened to your grandmother's beautiful voice, Shireen, and some of the other women. I was like, wow, what you're doing is very worthwhile. And this conversation is really important. And it doesn't matter what age, people either get it or they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only by invitation that you get in, but then, you know, you basically have chosen women that have a following, that have a voice and love themselves and other people around
Absolutely.
them. So I think that's brilliant. It's
Thank you.
really great. And you're doing it at such a young age. So you have a big road
Thank
in
you.
front of you and it's all lit up. So
It is. And
really,
there's many
bravo.
more conversations to have. And I appreciate that you found that and resonated with that, and that you
Yeah.
were so willing to have this conversation, because I'm so excited. I mean, how long you've been in this industry and how many years and conversations that you've had in your shop and online. And the
Yeah.
fact that, I see Tay Tea, not only are you available online, you have your store, you're through different countries available. You're coming up with, if it's okay for me to say, I know you have a cookbook coming out. What more do you see? What is the future of Tay Tea and yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the future of Tay Tea is doing more of what I do, but really going deeper into plant medicine. So 2.5 years ago, I got certified as an herbalist. What I liked, my husband laughs because I told him the other day, I said, honey, I think I'm a medical medium. He's like, oh my God, add that to your list. But I actually, we joke about it, but I feel like I intuitively know, maybe not for myself. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, my stomach hurts. I should be able to do this. But for others, like I can see somebody's aura, see them, and give them good advice what to do. Now, if somebody eats at McDonald's, doesn't move their body, drinks lots of alcohol, I can't really help you. And I will be very forthright and very honest because that's who I am. I'm not going to sit there and, go like that. But I feel like intuitive, I have a good handle on the wellness intuitively. So I
Mhm.
feel like I want to go deeper into that, practice that more. Um, Wellness with myself, with my family, with my friends. And it's really great to get somebody to come to you who's suffering, and basically you can be part of their wellness, be part of the solution instead of say, go to the doctor. Not that I'm anti-West and anti-doctor, but I really believe in, this is another thing coming back from our beautiful Persian background, is plant medicine. Like that's one of the most important things that came with me as a child, because my nanny really made, and we all had one, maybe here you didn't, but ask your mom, I'm sure
Mhm.
she'll
She did.
tell you. She taught me how to cook.
Mhm.
She taught me basically about plant medicine, and so did my great aunt. And also, so for me, I've always, don't want to call myself an excellent cook. I'm a very innovative cook, and I'm a wellness warrior. When it comes to the kitchen, I'm like, okay, orme sabzi is really great, but I'm not going to cook this to death. I'm going to make a 20-minute orme sabzi that's good for you, is vibrant, vegetarian, vegan, and yummy. So what's in the future for Tay Tea and for me is perhaps a cookbook, which has been in the making for many years, more like 10 years. The recipes and everything. It's a lot of work, but I think people expect me to have one. And it's also a door opener for so many other things. But more
Absolutely.
importantly, for me, again, it's Persian cooking made sweet, short and sweet and vibrant. To me, vibrant cooking is, you don't cook the hell out of all the ingredients. The ingredients jump out and speak to you. I'm a vegetarian myself for many, many years, and I feel like plant-based is the way to go. So, of course, a lot of my Persian friends make fun of me. They're like, Baba inche, this
I know they don't
is not.
understand what vegetarian means. They add meat on your plate. You're like, no, that's not what I meant by vegetarian.
But you know what? So cooking, the cookbook, lifestyle. So my brand is really about living beautifully and sharing it with people, and kind of widening the circle of love with tea, with friendship, with introducing people together. and bringing together people at the table and feeding them good food so that they can have nice, long lives that are, serving too. Like serving
Yeah.
others is very pivotal to my brand and being of service. So those are things
You're
that really
already doing
motivate
that
me.
so
Like
well.
I,
You're
I
doing
like to
that
get
so
up in
well.
the morning and come to my shop because I know somebody's going to walk in and they're going to come in like kind of like this and then walk out with a smile. To me, that's the mission is done that day. So
Yes.
that's my, as the Jews say, mitzvah for the day. I count my mitzvahs, not my money. And guess what? The
I
money
like that.
comes. The money always comes when you're not counting. And I found that out in my life. I don't worry about, these Excel spreadsheets of the business. The business now, knock on wood, is doing really well because we are vital for the
Mhm.
community and beyond. It's not just, this little community. So, we're grateful. I'm grateful. And I feel like, wow, at this point in my life, I mean, if I died tonight, I am a super happy woman. And I've done a lot of, I hope I don't. I have
Yeah, I
many
hope you don't.
years that I love to contribute and be of service, but I feel like, wow, I am super blessed. And I feel like that's the way every day is a gift. So that's how I live my life.
I love that. And, for someone who's experienced 18 years in Iran, the things that you've seen, things that, only I've seen in or read, to be able
Right,
to come to this country, to not
right,
hold the grudges on, the evilness that you've seen firsthand, but to bring the beauty within art, within a peace treaty or olive branch, within a ritual of tea,
right. Hmm.
educating individuals and things that they don't
Right.
understand, but not being, you know, pointing fingers, but educating, I
No,
think is
I mean,
something
that
beautiful.
doesn't get us anywhere. I feel like um, in our community, there's people that maybe just chase the dollar, and
Mm-hmm.
those people don't vibrate very high for me. I stay away from them
True.
actually. But if they come into my shop, I'm just as lovely to them as I am to somebody like you. You, I feel like living by example is the best thing. Um,
I agree.
there's so many different faces of us Iranian Americans and beyond. And I feel like I'm doing my little part to show what the headlines of New York Times and all the other media paints us in such a not so great way. And then people
True.
meet me, they're like, oh, you're really Persian. Yes, I am really Persian. And many things about me is typical, actually. Young, middle-aged, old. So, we teach by example, by just being happy, by being soulful, by being, somebody come in and you have a little cup of tea. That was funny because when I started my first shop and we sampled, people were very uncomfortable. They're like, how
Really?
much? I'm like, what do you mean? There's no, you don't have to pay. This is just sampling. And then this one guy said, you mean I can sit here all day and drink free tea? I said, yes. So that, even that, so basically the hospitality is what I thought, wow, this is what I'm sharing, not selling, sharing. The
Mm-hmm.
hospitality then opens up these chambers that people are like, wow, this is really nice. So I feel like we're teaching them. We're
Yes.
teaching them truly by being present, showing our, and also like what I do is, my signature tea is called Persian rose tea. I grow the roses in my own garden.
So
Then we
beautiful.
make a cookie of I don't know where I put everything. Oh yeah, it's here. Persian rose cookie, which is infused with that
Wow.
tea. And then, people love it and they can have that with the tea as they come in. So people feel that specialness, they taste it, they feel it, they see it in my face and they experience it. So the experience of Tay Tea is something which is way beyond like, okay, it's not transactional. It's something that people, experience.
I
So
love
I love
that.
that.
I just want to be there right now to experience all of what you
Yeah,
just
I wish you
mentioned.
were. Then you could really smell everything. And I have at the tea counter, I've made Better Than Sex and Persian Rose. I thought if you wanted to virtually drink
I
tea
wish
with
I
me, we would.
could. I can't wait. I
But
need
you
to order
must
it so I
come in
could.
the summer because the
Yes.
summer is truly beautiful here. And it's just like, it's glorious. People say, oh, it reminds me of South of France. It's better than South of France.
It's
I have
better
many
than
French friends and they're like, no, this is better.
I love
So
it.
you'll come and visit, I hope.
I will. No, absolutely. I mean, I already am visually thinking about when I'm going to buy my ticket to come, but
I'll send you some tea to experience it, and
I
then
would
you're
love
gonna
that.
be coming here. But so no, it's really fantastic that you're doing this, and I really I commend you. I think it's such a great voice that you have, and
Thank you.
doing it in this format, which is brilliant. Like you have the voice, and then you have the visuals, and you share it on all these platforms. And
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
grateful to have been chosen to talk about tea and our Persian hospitality, which I think really is in the core of all of us.
I'm honored to have you on this show. As like I said, like tea is the blood that runs through us as
Yes,
Iranians.
absolutely.
So
It
I
really is.
am so happy that you said yes so fast
Of
to being
course.
on this show. I want everybody who is listening to follow along. I will make sure to include how they can follow along on social media and to go onto your website. If you don't mind, can you share with us your website information for all of our
Sure.
listeners?
It's taytea.com and TAYTEA.com. And Tay is the oldest word in Mandarin Chinese for tea.
I
So
love
people always
that.
say, well, so that's redundant. Tea. And I said, yeah, but my name is Nini. So Nini. I love
There you go. I
redundance.
love that
I
fun
love
fact.
repetition. And that's how babies learn, you know. So the
Yes.
whole world is a big baby.
You
to me.
really do. You are an artist. You really think about every single
Those little
aspect of
things.
it.
Yeah, because I mean, the names, when I started my company, so many people told me tea. I mean, Americans don't like tea. I said, I really don't care what they like and what they don't like. I love tea. And this is my story unfolding with the tea that I'm going to blend for them. And Persian Rose was the first. And you know, it's all about that. You're not selling product, basically.
Yes.
You're selling stories. And people love stories because guess what? That also runs in our veins as a
Yes.
human family, you know. So you're telling these stories, somebody else is telling those, and we merge. And that's the beauty of it. So I never believed when people said, oh, they don't want your tea. Oh, they do want it.
They
Because
do.
they want to hear stories that are exotic and full of love. And your grandmother, like her voice,
Yes.
you know, it brought back so many. She was the reason I decided to talk to you, because I was like, wow, this is very powerful. The fact that you used her voice that she left you on the answering machine
Yeah.
to start this whole thing. It's really like the center chamber of your heart. And things
Yeah.
like that speak to me because, you know, that's my life. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, that's how this whole business kind of came to me in a dream where Khalenushi said, well, what are you waiting for? Get to work.
Exactly.
So that was it. And so, you know, we're all sister mothers. We're all related and we're one big family. I don't see the fact that we're Persian and they're American and this one's Chinese. I don't see that. I don't see race, color, age. None of that matters. I mean, the humanity is what matters. And,
Agreed.
you know, you're putting that on a platform and giving all these people a chance to speak and tell their stories. I think this is where we meet. So this is the biggest diva dinner.
It is the biggest diva dinner. I love that. I'm glad that I'm a part of it in some way.
So sweet.
Well, Nini June, I am so honored to have had you on my show, and I cannot wait to hear all the stories and everything that you are bringing with Tay Tea and so much more, and to have you on the show again.
Thank you.
Well,
good luck with everything, and we will speak again soon.
For more inspiring interviews, head on over to shireenconversations.com. If you liked today's show, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. And don't forget to rate and review, and follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Shireen Conversations. You can also watch episodes on YouTube. I'm Margina Paravan, and you've been listening to Shireen Conversations. Thank you.